Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sarah here, and today we are officially a third of the way through because today is day 10 of 30 Inks 30 Days for November 2023, last 30 Inks of the year. Having some tea, same setup as always guys, all the gear, no idea. This is, I want to try, because I know some of them down the bottom are some of the pen BBS and from my other pen friend, and we've done a few of Abby's in a row, which is awesome, but I thought maybe I'll put some of them up the top. And now, maybe I try and on purpose go for a small one. What's that one? Ooh, Robert Oster Clay Red. I had never heard of this ink before. I don't even think I've seen Robert Oster Clay Red before. And I've tried quite a few Robert Oster inks, I have to say. Maybe this is one that's just not as well known. So that's what we're going to do today. Nothing's really jumping out of me out of the vial. It looks like a red, but nothing. You know, sometimes I comment on how it coats the vial, etc., and there's nothing super obvious. So why don't we instead just jump straight into a swatcheroo? I won't go too high. What if I go like there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. Take some of that back up because that's cray. All right, this is what happens when I mess around. Can you see the bubble on the... There you go. Every time I try and get creative and like mess around, it never goes well. I don't know why I keep trying, but you know, living on the edge. I would love to know how everyone is doing as we approach the end of the year. I feel like once you start getting toward mid-November, that mad rush to, if I just can get stuff done because soon I might be able to have a few days break over Christmas, like that for me at least starts that mid-November. My work is also really closely tied to like when school terms start and end, we can get quite significant bumps in our workload. And I always do think about that as we get towards the end of the year. But it can be both exciting and it can be quite overwhelming because you feel like, oh, I'm in a good space and I'm just going to buckle down and get stuff done. Then that, you know, the next 4 to 6 weeks works. But if you're not in that space, it can actually be quite daunting. In terms of the ink, if it looks red to me, when I think clay red, I'm thinking about the red clay of Australia that I see, and it's definitely more of an orangey browny kind of colour. I actually don't know what state Robert Oster's from, the guy. Obviously maybe Sydney. And if it does look different there, or if he is thinking about a specific part of Australia, because it would be different, but this isn't what I associate with like the clay of, the Australian clay that I know. What I do like about it though is that it being a truer red for me, then I can identify it with the red of the Aboriginal flag. And I think if it was more of a browny orange, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I do think that's important. Australia recently had a referendum to edit our constitution to include an Aboriginal Indigenous voice to Parliament. And the No campaign, unfortunately, did a really good job of fear-mongering and of spreading quite a bit of misinformation. So to change the constitution in Australia in terms of that type of referendum, you need a double majority. So you need a majority of Australia as a whole, and you need a majority of states. And I actually thought maybe we'd get across the line for a majority as a whole, and it still wouldn't have entered the constitution, and I get that that's still shit. But I don't know, I did think maybe we'd get across the line in a purely popular vote, and I was wrong because it failed in every state and Australia-wide. It did pass in the ACT, but from my understanding of how the double majority works, the ACT is not counted in that sense. It's just counted as part of the overall Australia-wide vote. There you go. There's a Australian political lesson for you. I think the thing that I found really disappointing as well, and you're not going to see medium, is in Victoria, New South Wales, and is it South Australia? Australian viewers, please let me know. We're all in varying stages of organising, like formalising a treaty with our Indigenous neighbours, or brothers and sisters, really, the people whose land this was for hundreds of thousands of years. And I was always quite I was interested in why the Yes campaign didn't include that in their campaign. That, I don't know, maybe it was because then maybe that could have made, I really don't know. Anyway, the paraphrase or the conclusion of this ramble is, this red I like. It doesn't remind me of the clay that I think about, but I do like that it is a truer red in terms of thinking of the earth and the Aboriginal flag. That's what I was trying to say. The clay I think about is more when you get that caked, orangey, mustardy, coppery brown on your shoes. But I would imagine that it also seems quite different in different parts of the country. You're getting a kind of a brown sheen around there, which looks quite nice. Some nice shading. This is probably the first ink of this 30 inks, 30 days, where just with these dip pens you can see bits of shading that looks quite nice. It's not an ink that I'm overly drawn to be honest. But it's not to say I don't like it. I don't see myself reaching for red inks too often anyway. Inks that I see it is similar to is tricky. The one that's jumping to mind, and I'll see if I can get it, is Sailor. Isn't it a Manyo ink, the Ume? But I do wonder if that's going to be actually too dark. Yeah, that's Ume, and that has quite a distinct sheen. So that's the one that jumped out straight away, and I can't actually think of, too many others that it reminds me of, which is also like interesting in another way. What I'll do for now, this has been a long video where I'm rambling away, is let's do our little measuring cup. I'm going to do a big one for this because I feel like it, and I'm just going to not overthink it and go, wow, that's a lot of ink. Smack bang in there. When I maybe I'll finish with a somewhat funny story. So the local area I live in, when you break the votes down by that area, my area did very clearly vote yes. I live in a city, kind of, well, suburbia, but metro Melbourne, and where I went to vote was at a school, and like everyone campaigning there was yes. I took my son with me, and I actually recently got a jumper through a residential care conference, and it had some Aboriginal art on the back of a kangaroo named Miram, and it was painted in Aboriginal artwork painting, and the story of Miram, of the kangaroo, is jumping forward with strength. So I thought it was fitting to wear that jumper. I really liked it and what it represented. So I wore that in, and I took my son with me. The thing is that my son's favourite word at the moment is no. So while I'm wearing a jumper, not advocating, but talking about the strength of jumping forward and wearing literal Aboriginal art on me, my son was screaming out no, which went against my beliefs and everyone who was campaigning there. So I did find that, quite funny. But to finish this video off, this is Robert Oster Clay Red. I look forward to chatting with you guys tomorrow, and I will try and not be as political. But I'll speak to you then. Bye.